When somebody passes away in South Sudanese culture, it is tradition for people to come over to that person's house when they have a family member pass. And they are still expected to set out food, have tea ready, have the house clean, and entertain the guests that are coming to their house to grieve and to mourn with them. I just think that's insane.
Excited to have you, amazing viewer at Comfort for Life. Thanks for your continued support. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's dive into today's video. I must mention to you that there's a lot to learn from this video about the African culture, and there's a lot of things that she went on to elaborate on this. Respectfully, she said that not because something is an element of a culture that it can't be changed. So there was a type of upbringing that she was subdued to, that she couldn't keep up with, and decided to go knock contacts from her parents. And it's been 1 year now, and she's sharing her experience because she has really made her mind, and she's saying it's been a year and I want to put this relationship to rest and I don't want to speak about this anymore. Let's hear what she has to say. I must mention again, there's a lot to learn about the culture here. Can you relate to this? Let us know in the comment section. Let's interact.
Hey guys, let's talk about African culture for a second. And this is just a warning for all the older Africans that are on my page right now. You're gonna be offended, and that's okay. I'm sorry that you're offended, but I'm just speaking my mind. I'm allowed to have opinions. I'm allowed to speak freely. So just because something is culture or tradition, it does not mean that it is morally correct. I'm gonna say that again. Just because something is culture or tradition, it does not mean that it is correct. I'll give you a few examples. I'm South Sudanese, so I'm going to use South Sudanese culture, but because I don't want to group us all in the same bucket, because I know there's different cultures out there, but a lot of African countries have the same or similar traditions. So when somebody passes away in South Sudanese culture, it is tradition for people to come over to that person's house when they have a family member pass. And they are still expected to set out food, have tea ready, have the house clean, and entertain the guests that are coming to their house to grieve and to mourn with them. I just think that's insane. If I just lost a family member, I should be the one being catered to and taken care of. And yes, sometimes like the women of the group will come over and they'll cook and they'll help, but whoever is mourning is still expected to be like to serve people in the home, even though they're the one that lost a family member. Another thing that is widely accepted in Sudan is for a very old man to marry a very, very young girl. She can be 14, 15, 16, and the man can be in his 40s, 50s, 60s. I don't think you need tradition to tell you that that's wrong, okay? And a lot of people use tradition to justify that because they know that it's incorrect. Well, they say, well, that's just what we do. That's just our culture. It's okay to say that that's wrong. Another thing that is widely accepted in South Sudanese culture is for other adults to discipline your child. That means they can hit them, they can slap them, they can do whatever to discipline your child. Even with you not being there, without asking the parent, without the parent being present, they just have like an automatic okay to discipline somebody else's child. I'm not okay with that at all. And so all of these things that I've listed are definitely things that I do not accept just because my blood is South Sudanese. I more so operate in what is wrong or what is right. I believe in apologies. I believe in having hard conversations. I believe in holding people accountable for their wrongdoings. So just to sum it all up, a lot of you are so stuck in culture and tradition that you forget that you're lacking empathy. In the South Sudanese community, it is very taboo for a husband and wife to show affection in front of their children and also show affection in public in general. Let's say we're at like a traditional gathering or whatever it is. You will almost never see a husband and wife hold hands, kiss, say that they love each other, tell their children that they love them. Like, just showing any sort of emotional vulnerability or affection is considered weird or awkward. And I want to talk about why that's an issue. So one of the most obvious reasons of why this is an issue is a lot of African kids grow up emotionally stunted, and they have a very hard time showing physical affection and also expressing themselves emotionally, because it's something that's always been shut down their entire lives. And so if it's something that you've never seen and something that you were never allowed to do, how are you going to do that in your future relationships? How are you going to do that in your future friendships? And when I say physical touch, I'm not referring to anything that is highly inappropriate. I'm just talking a basic like kiss on the cheek, holding hands, hugging. All of that is something that you should be able to do in front of your kids. I don't think that it's inappropriate in any way. I just think that it's something that we've suppressed for so long that it's just awkward, and some of our parents literally physically cannot do it. Like, they just feel so uncomfortable. They feel like everybody's judging them and watching them. And so I think that that's something that I definitely want to change with my future family. And all of my cousins and I were very, physical with each other. We hug each other because that's something none of us really saw with our parents. And so that's something that we are actively trying to change. Lastly, I want to touch on the I love yous. Saying I love you is a phrase that a lot of African kids have never heard from their parents. Some can count the amount of times they heard their parents say, hey, I love you. And that's not to say that our parents don't love us, but when you bring a child from a place where that is not the cultural norm, and then you raise them in a country where it is normal and that's the way people receive love by hearing it, you're going to have to change your ways, because guess what? Your child didn't grow up the way you grew up. So because we grew up in America and we see like our friends' parents and our friends saying I love you to each other, and then you go home and you never hear that, what are you going to equate that to? You're going to equate that to my parents don't love me. So even if they show it through their actions, it's okay to just say, hey, I love you. Like, it's easy, but it's just repetition is what's gonna help us get there. I want to talk about manners, saying please and thank you, giving people privacy, as in knocking on the door before you walk in, not expecting things from people just because you come from the same culture or you come from the same country or you're the same ethnicity. I think that especially with South Sudanese culture, people feel this certain right to your time, your space, your energy, because you come from the same place. And a lot of times it could be people that you barely even know, but they put this like very high levels of expectations from you. And, they will genuinely be upset if you ever decline, if you ever say no, if you ever say, hey, I can't do this for you. Now you're the talk of the town. Now they're spreading rumors. So I just really think we need to normalize, first of all, saying please and thank you, asking for something and allowing somebody some time to give you an answer of yes or no. And if they do say no, not taking that to heart and not being offended. I also think parents need to normalize saying please and thank you to their children. I think a lot of parents make demands and they never say thank you. Just because a child has to do something for you, it doesn't mean that you can't ask it in a kind way. And a lot of times I know that elders can feel disrespected, but you'll receive respect a lot easier if you give that child or whoever you're asking the same respect back. And I know that, parents and children are not the same when it comes to authority, but they are the same when it comes to being a human being. And I just think about it as, how would you like somebody to talk to you? You should talk to the child that way. You should talk to the other person that way. And when it comes to privacy, I know that it's common for parents to not knock when they walk into their children's rooms, especially if you have like a teenage girl or you have anybody from the age of 10 to 18 who's a child who lives under your roof. I think we should normalize knocking before you just barge in, like, hey, are you decent? Give them a few seconds to get themselves together and then walk in. I just think that will go a long way when it comes to just autonomy and privacy. Like, I can still remember times where I wasn't decent and like my random family members just walked in the room, whether it be aunts, cousins, like mom, dad, whoever it was. Like, they didn't feel like they had to knock or give you just that respect as a child because you were a child, but at the same time you're a 15-year-old girl. And so there's just certain boundaries that we constantly cross, and we just chalk it up to culture and tradition. I just think that we can be a little bit more respectful of each
I
other.
haven't heard one thing that she talked about that does not apply in my culture, though I'm not a South Sudanese. Now, I just want to note on a few things. One thing that I love about the African culture is that communal lifestyle. But how can we have that communal lifestyle with boundaries? That's where she went on to say that you should knock on somebody's door, don't visit someone in the morning and expect them to serve you. Don't, all those kind of stuff. She's making a lot of sense. She is really making a lot of sense. But most of the things that we observe in our community is that people will go to school, people will get all these big degrees, but they are so conservative. They don't want anything to do with any external thing. They said, if you forget your culture, you're a slave. You are. But there's no room for education. Even when you go to school, you learn all these things about boundaries. You learn stuff. You learn how to live with people, but also have your space, so that you don't get carried away. You don't just forget about yourself in the process. And this of couple not showing affection for each other in front of their children, this is affecting marriages a lot. I love following couples whatever couple series, and even in real life, where you will see women leaving their marriages saying that my husband has never told me that they love me. I can't see it. I don't know. Do they really, really love me? And you'll hear people say, oh, because they have never seen that being shown to their parents, so they don't know how to transmit it, but they love you in their heart. I'm not sure. I am not. I don't know if you personally, they're watching me right now, listening to me, can agree to that. How could someone love you from the heart without showing you exactly that kind of love that you want to see from them? Those are the things that I was thinking about, and I said I should add them right here. There's a lot we can go on and on and on, and these early marriages are anyway. And in Sudan, it's even worse because I've interacted with quite a number of Sudanese, and most of the time you will see them raising their children on their own, and the husband in their countries, in their country there, and then it's the wife who will do the whole, the whole child rearing, as the husband role is to just provide, look for money, send, and it's kind of a long distance marriage relationship. Anyway, what should I put? How should I put this? There's a lot. There's a lot that we can go on and on and on speaking about this. But that's what I heard to say. I don't know what you think about this particular video. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Do not hesitate to tell us what you think. Let's interact. Can you relate to this? What do you have to add? Yeah, let us know.